They say rain cleanses everything, don't they? It's a cliche. But that night was different. The rain didn't wash anything away. It brought him to my doorstep, the ex-husband of my best friend. You can call me Sophia. Let me take you back to that year. I need you to understand the context. I need you to understand why. I was 27 years old, navigating a messy, complicated season of my life. On the surface, I was the strong friend. I was functioning. I paid my bills. I went to the gym. I smiled in photos. But inside, I was a deep, dark well of suppressed anger. And if I'm being brutally honest with you, I was carrying a loneliness so heavy, it felt like physical weight pulling my shoulders down every single morning. Anna, my childhood friend, had just gone through a divorce and she moved into my spare bedroom. I remember a specific dinner a few months earlier. It was right before Anna's divorce. The apartment was full of people, the air thick with perfume and roasted garlic. Anna was in the center of the room. She was telling one of her hilarious stories, waving her wine glass around. Everyone was roaring with laughter, completely captivated by her light. I remember taking a sip of my drink, feeling like a ghost in the corner of the room. I looked across the crowded table. Lucas wasn't laughing. He was her husband at the time. The marriage was failing, though nobody knew it yet. He wasn't looking at her nor at the guests. He was staring at me. It was as if he could see right through my polite smile and realize that I was just like him, simply existing, not truly living. We were the two unhappy bookends holding up everyone else's stories. That day, amidst the noise and the clinking glasses, our eyes locked for maybe 2 seconds. Just 2 seconds. I looked away immediately. I focused intensely on the pattern of the tablecloth. Then came the storm. It was a Tuesday when the sky simply collapsed over the city, a torrential downpour that turned streets into rivers and turned day into night. I was safe inside, watching the violence of the wind from my living room window. I felt cozy, protected, until the phone rang. It was Anna. She said, "Sophia, listen, I'm completely stuck at work. The underpasses are flooded. It's going to take me hours to get home. Maybe I won't even make it back tonight." I said, "Oh God, just stay put. Be safe, okay?" I hung up, thinking that was just a quiet night alone with a book and the sound of the rain. 10 minutes later, the phone rang again. She said, "Girl, you won't believe this. Lucas called me." They had been divorced for 6 months. She continued, "He's on his motorcycle near your place. He's soaked to the bone and freezing to death. I couldn't just leave him there, right? I told him to go to your apartment, just to take shelter, to wait out the storm. He should be there any minute." Then she added the sentence that would haunt me for the rest of my life. "Take care of him for me." I managed to say, "Sure, of course," but my hands were trembling uncontrollably when I put the phone down. I ran to the hallway mirror. My reflection looked pale, wide-eyed. I fixed my hair, which was a frizzy mess from the humidity. The intercom buzzed. When I opened the door, he was standing there. Water was streaming down his dark hair, dripping from his nose, soaking his heavy leather jacket. He was shivering violently. "I'm sorry to bother you, Sophia," he said. His voice was low, rough from the cold, barely audible over the roaring rain. "Come in." I stepped back. "Please come in." I rushed to the linen closet and grabbed a thick, fluffy towel. When I handed it to him, our fingers brushed. It was electric. His skin was like ice. Mine was burning hot. He gripped the towel, but his fingers grazed my knuckles for a second longer than necessary. I'll make some tea to warm you up," I stammered, turning my back too quickly. I needed to breathe. "Thank you," he murmured. I went to the kitchen. My hands shook as I filled the kettle. I stared at the blue flame of the stove, trying to center myself. It's just Lucas, I told myself. It's just Anna's ex. He's just cold. I walked back in with the tea. He had taken off the jacket. We sat in the living room. The rain was hammering against the glass now, a heavy drum beat that sounded like a heavy velvet curtain falling, separating us from the rest of the world. In here, time didn't exist. Anna didn't exist. The rules of society didn't exist. The conversation started awkwardly. We talked about the flood, the insane traffic, the weather, small talk to cover up the giant elephant in the room. But the silence between the words, it was deafening. It was screaming. He took a sip of the tea, his eyes fixed on the steam rising from the mug. "You seem different today," he said, softly. My breath hitched in my throat. I sat up a little straighter. "Different how?" He looked up slowly, meeting my gaze. He didn't blink. "You seem real. You seem real. You don't have that armor on." Suddenly, the overhead light flickered once, twice, and then it died. The entire neighborhood plunged into darkness, a blackout. The universe was conspiring against us, or perhaps for us. We sat in the gloom, illuminated only by the faint, gray flashes of lightning from the storm outside. The shadows lengthened. The atmosphere shifted instantly. The pretense of just friends evaporated in the dark. We were no longer bound by the social contracts of the light. "I should go," he whispered, but he didn't move a muscle. He stayed rooted to the spot, watching me in the dim light. "It's pouring out there," I replied. My voice was barely a thread, cracking with emotion. "You can't go. It's dangerous." "It's dangerous here, too," he said. And we both knew he wasn't talking about the weather. He shifted on the sofa. The leather creaked. He moved closer. His mouth found mine in the dark. One kiss, slow, desperate. Then lightning cracked like a whip, pulling us apart, hearts racing. "Sophia." He whispered my name, not as a greeting, but as a secret, as a confession, as a prayer he had been waiting to say. I didn't need to answer. In that darkness, in that suspended bubble of time, my loyalty to Anna felt like a concept from a past life, like something that belonged to other people. In that moment, we weren't the friend and the ex-husband. We were just two broken people, jagged edges trying to find a way to fit together without cutting ourselves. The morning came too fast. It always does. The rain stopped. He was standing at the door ready to leave. He turned to me. There were no cynical smiles, no casual, "See ya," no promises of a future. There was just raw pain in his eyes, a look of devastating loss. And I know it was mirrored in mine. "Goodbye, Sophia." He didn't say "see you later." He didn't say "until next time." 20 minutes later, the key turned in the lock. Anna arrived. She came in bustling with energy, dropping her bags, complaining about the traffic, thanking me profusely. She hugged me tight, smelling of morning coffee and exhaustion. She called me an angel for taking him in. She called me her savior. "I don't know what I'd do without you, Sophia," she said, squeezing my arm. "You're the best friend anyone could ask for." Every compliment she gave me felt like a splinter being driven into my chest. Every thank you was a reminder of that kiss. I stood there, freezing, smiling a painted-on smile while dying inside. I felt sick, physically sick. I couldn't take it. I wasn't strong enough to look her in the eye every day and pretend nothing had shifted. So I did the only thing I knew how to do. I ran. I found a new job 2 weeks later. I moved to a different city a month after that. I changed my phone number. I drifted away from Anna. I erased Lucas. I left that rainy Tuesday behind as if it were a fever dream. But let me tell you something. There are nights, even now, years later, when the rain beats hard against my window, that I close my eyes. I can still feel the spark of that stolen kiss when thunder rolls. And I ask myself the question, was it a terrible mistake? Was I a monster? Or was it the only time in my entire life that I was truly, deeply seen? Now you know. You are the only one in this world who knows my secret. Keep it safe for me, okay? That was today's confession. And you? What would you do if the perfect storm knocked on your door? Subscribe here. Send me your story. The link is in the bio. You know that here, I won't judge you.